guys, I am Randolph Boodhoo. I know normally we meet via an actual physical classroom. It's a little different this time. You're at home, I'm here, but we can make this work. So listen to me, simple instructions, put down the tablet, put down the phone, let's focus a bit. Today we're going to be doing some comprehension. And before I introduce what exactly the topic is, let's do some thinking. So on screen you're seeing a road right now, and a certain part of the road is being encircled. Look at that. Two other circles are coming up. Now I want you to think. What is the difference between these three roads? Two are the same and one is different. How can you define them? If you said that one is a main road and the other two are side roads, you are correct. And I want you to keep that word main in your mind. That main road is necessary before we can actually get to choose which side road we want to go on. Let's look at another picture. We have coming up on the screen that you're seeing a tree. And being highlighted is a part of the tree. Now you think for a moment, what can you tell me about this part of the tree? Look, there are arrows coming up now and they are pointing at different parts of the tree now. One part is the main trunk or the main branch of the tree, and the others are branches that come out of that. Think about the word main again. Without the main branch, we cannot have the other branches. It supports them, it helps them. Now, if I said we're doing comprehension, what topic do you think we're doing today? If you have your brother or your sister next to you, take a moment, ask them. If you said main idea, that's correct. So today, guys, we're going to be looking at main idea in comprehension. Now, I know everybody in front of the TV screen right now are very brilliant children, and I'm glad you're all welcome to stay, but this lesson is specifically for Standard 4 students, and Standard 5 might sit in as well. So let's do a little recap. Let's step back before we go forward. What do we need to know, or what do we know already about main idea? Let's look at the pictures coming up on the screen and try to figure out what is the main thing being said in the pictures. So the first picture has 5 different things. If you had to use one word to describe these 5 things, what would that word be? Good, fruits. And fruits in a simplistic way is main idea of the picture. Let's look at another picture. Again, there are 5 things on the screen. Tell me, if you had to find one word to encapsulate all 5 things, what would that word be? You might have a different word from me, but if it's close to transport, transport is correct. And transport is the one word that gives the main idea of the picture. You're remembering we did these things in previous classes. Is the knowledge coming back up now? Good. Then let's go forward. I want you to look at why main idea is important. There are several reasons for us to remember why it is important. So main idea is important because it helps us to sort and organize our thoughts. Additionally, it helps us to use context clues to determine what exactly is that main or big idea. And thirdly, and most importantly, it helps the reader to comprehend and to remember important details. So sit steady. We're going to be learning a lot about different types of ways to find main idea. But before we can go further, let's understand something. If you were to sit on this stool, where would be your sitting position? What would carry your weight? That's correct, where the arrow is pointing. That's the main part of the stool. That's the place where we sit. That's the place that holds our weight. But is it possible for the top of the stool to do that alone? No, it's not. So these 3 legs are also important. These legs support the base of the stool. And that's why in main idea we have 2 things. The main idea, but also very important, are the supporting details that help bring about a paragraph with the main idea. So let's think a little bit. If we were to create a paragraph about the car on screen. Now I'll give you a moment. I know you like how the car looks, so you can talk about it for just 1 second, take it in, and then we're going to create a paragraph in our minds. So what are some of the things that we can see about this car? Maybe we can see the car is red. Maybe we can see it's red and white. We can go further to say it's a convertible car. We can even say the car is classy. We can say it drives smoothly. All these things, if we're writing a paragraph, would support the fact that our paragraph is about a car. And being a car is the main idea. All these different details are relevant. But if I were to create a sentence about a car also like this, and the sentence reads, Jeff's car wash is nice. Does that it has to do with a car, but does it have to do with the paragraph we were creating? No, not necessarily. And in black is what we would call an irrelevant detail. So in paragraphs and in finding main idea, we look for relevant, which were all the things we said about the car at first, and irrelevant ideas. And the relevant ideas are what help us to determine what is our main idea. Are you all following me so far? Good. Then let's go further. In a typical paragraph, there are 4 different ways we can identify a main idea. Sometimes the main idea is found at the beginning of the paragraph, the very first line. Sometimes we find it at the end of the paragraph, the last line. There are times when it can be in the middle. And where we're going to focus some time today is on paragraphs where the main idea is not stated, and we have to create or infer what is our main idea. So let's look at a passage. I'm going to read aloud, and you are going to read the passage there, and we're going to start to think from the minute that we read, what could be the main idea of this passage? What one sentence, all the other sentences support in this passage? So let's read. Bushfires happen during the dry season and are dangerous. It is often found that bushfires can occur as a result of an inappropriately disposed cigarette or some small flame. These flames ignite dry branches or leaves which start a fire. In large areas of trees or bushes, the fires spread quickly and can become very large. Fire officers are in high demand to extinguish these fires as they can be threatening to nearby residential areas and cities. We must be cautious in how we dispose of cigarettes and any kind of flame when the weather is dry. This is one of the many ways we can protect the environment. So we have to think now, which one sentence all the other sentences in the paragraphs support? So we're going to do some testing. We may be wrong sometimes. You may be wrong. I may be right. I may be right. You may be wrong, but we're going to try. So the first thing I thought about, these flames ignite dry branches or leaves which start a fire. Now, if you look at this sentence, the sentence talks about and it focuses on branches and leaves. So my process now of thinking, I have to go through the paragraph and see if the other sentences talk or support the fact that branches and leaves start a fire. Now understand me, we know that with bushfires, branches and leaves start a fire. But I want to know if in this paragraph, all the other sentences are supporting this one sentence. So let's look. Bushfires happen during the dry season and are dangerous. Okay, that doesn't really talk about branches or leaves. It is often found that bushfires can occur as a result of an inappropriately disposed cigarette or some small flame. Again, cigarettes were not in that sentence. It spoke about a flame, but cigarettes were not there. In large areas of trees or bushes, the fires spread quickly and can become very large. Now I'm at a third sentence, and none of these 3 sentences really showed support. Like if the branches and the leaves were that part of the stool that we sit on, they didn't show support for it. So I am thinking, and I'm sure you are thinking it also, that this may just be a supporting detail and not the main idea. And if you did, you're correct. So I don't know. Let's try something else. We must be cautious in how we dispose of cigarettes And any kind of flame when the weather is dry. Now I'm getting excited. It had the word cigarettes. And I remember that when I read earlier, I saw some cigarettes. So let's check and see if this is the main idea. Bushfires happen during the dry season and are dangerous. It doesn't really fit there, no. It's often found that bushfires can occur as a result of an inappropriately disposed cigarette or some small flame. We have the word cigarettes there. We are getting somewhere. I think this just might be it. These flames ignite dry branches and leaves, which start a fire. Okay, they didn't talk about cigarettes there. All right. In large areas of trees or bushes, the fires spread quickly and can become very large. This doesn't have to do with that line. And then the next line, if you're reading, talks about fire officers. So I'm a bit confused. I don't think this is the main idea. This may be a supporting idea. Look through this paragraph now. Think it through. What is the main notion going through the paragraph? It doesn't have to do with cigarettes. It doesn't have to do with branches. We have a sentence where they say fire officers are in demand. We know for sure that the entire thing is about bushfires. But what about bushfires? Is there any one line in this paragraph that can, if I pull it out, say in that one line what the entire paragraph is about? Let's look. Bushfires happen during the dry season and are dangerous. Every single other sentence in that paragraph supports this idea. Because fire officers are in demand, it means that we have more bushfires. And it means that they have to be on call because these things are dangerous and can cause harm. It went as far to say as a little cigarette can be thrown, and that just little sparking from the cigarette can cause a bushfire. The dry weather and the heat. So the main idea here is that bushfires during the dry season are dangerous. Everything else is a supporting detail. So I want you now, if you had the wrong answer, to think about why your answer was wrong and why this answer is correct. If you're sitting with somebody, question them. And as you recognized, the main idea in this paragraph is to the top. So just to recap, when we go through a paragraph, we don't just underline and say what we think the main idea is right away. No. Rather, we read it through, we question ourselves, think, and we make sure to check to see if it's a supporting detail or a main idea. Let's go on to our second paragraph. You read quietly while I read aloud. Leopards hunt for their food at night. These animals are carnivores and eat only meat. Their excellent eyesight helps them to stalk and capture their prey even in the dark. In many cases, a leopard will carry its prey long distances away from the place of the kill. The leopard is a good climber and will often drag its dinner into a tree where other animals cannot reach it. There, the leopard can devour its meal alone. Unlike lions, leopards are solitary and antisocial animals. The leopard is an excellent hunter. Now, I am thinking back on the last paragraph, as I sure some of you are thinking, and maybe the main idea is just that first line. Leopards hunt for their food at night. So I agree, as you are thinking as well, that the paragraph talks about leopards hunting. But does the entire paragraph support that they hunt at night? Let's look. These animals are carnivores and eat only meat. That didn't talk about the night. Their excellent eyesight helps them to stalk and capture their prey even in the dark. Okay, so maybe we're getting somewhere. Maybe it might be the main idea. In many cases, a leopard will carry its prey long distances away from the place of the kill. No, that doesn't support the leopard being a hunter in the night. The leopard is a good climber and will often drag its dinner into a tree where other animals cannot reach it. That doesn't talk about night. There, the leopard can devour its meal alone. So it's a good sentence, yes, but here I am questioning that last two words, those last two words, at night. And it has me thinking now, maybe there might be another sentence that's better. So let me check. There the leopard can devour its meal alone. What do you think? Can that work? Is anything supporting that idea in the paragraph? I don't think so. And I don't think we should waste much time on it either. So let's move on. Look through the paragraph. Is there any one sentence that talks about the leopard as a hunter, but not just at night? And yes, that's correct. The last sentence is the main idea. The leopard is an excellent hunter, because the first one just talks about the leopard hunting. But if you look at the paragraph goes on to show the lengths a leopard would go at to catch its prey. It ensures that when it catches it at point A, it travels miles to point B to devour it. It climbs into trees sometimes. So it's not just a hunter, and it's not just a hunter at night. What the paragraph tells us, the big idea in that paragraph, is that the leopard is an excellent hunter. So, good if you got that. Let's remember again as we're going along. Main idea is that big idea, and right around the main idea are supporting details. And the supporting details are what we think through to understand if our main idea that we think about is correct or if it is wrong. Again, as we go to that third paragraph, select something, yes, but question yourself. Think it through. Have a thought-provoking conversation in your mind. Is this correct or is it wrong? So we have our third paragraph. I'll read, and I'm not hearing you, so you can read aloud with me also this time. Let us read. Although many people think a koala is a bear, it is not. The koala is a type of mammal called a marsupial. The kangaroo is also a marsupial. These mammals carry their babies in a pouch. The kangaroo's pouch is on her stomach, but the koala's pouch is on her back. Both feed their babies milk and keep them secure in their pouch until they are strong enough to survive on their own. So we're thinking, what is the passage about? That's your first thought. So yes, you're thinking it's about a koala. It also talks about a kangaroo. There are many ideas in the passage. So now that our brains are flowing, let's go deeper. What is the biggest idea? What's the most stand-out idea in that paragraph? So I have my idea, and I think it's the first sentence because we got it in the first paragraph. Maybe it might be here again. Although many people think a koala is a bear, it's not. You read through the passage and tell me if the other sentences in that passage talk about a koala not being a bear. The koala is a type of mammal called a marsupial. Yes, that says it's not a bear. A kangaroo is also a marsupial. Okay, but that doesn't talk about the koala not being a bear. It goes on to say these mammals carry their babies in a pouch. So my thinking now is that it's not talking about what the koala is not, it's talking about what the koala is. So therefore, the first sentence is not correct. What I would have done here, if I'm sitting with this paper in front of me in an exam, I'd close my eyes after underlining that and question myself. I'd break it apart. I'd close my eyes and say, listen, what is this sentence saying? Are the other sentences supporting this? And I'd realize, no, this sentence talks about what the koala is not. The other lines, they say what it is. So what sentence in this passage tells me exactly what the koala is? Is it the sentence? Both feed their babies milk and keep them secure in their pouch until they are strong enough to survive on their own. I don't think we need to spend much time. We know that's not the correct sentence. So you say it out loud now, and I will highlight it on my screen. The koala is a type of mammal called a marsupial. If you got that, excellent. we're moving somewhere. If you didn't, don't despair. Just step back. Think about where you went wrong and why you went wrong. Evaluate yourself and understand when the next paragraph comes up, you think a little harder, question yourself more, and think it through. We're getting there. You may not have gotten there yet, but guess what? We will get there. So let's remember again, main idea is the biggest idea, and then we have many supporting details that support that one big idea. You read this paragraph with me now. Let's read. How do migrating animals find their destination? Fish use their sense of smell to recognize their migration paths and are guided by changing water temperatures. Birds use the position of the sun to orient themselves. Some birds have magnetic particles in their air mechanisms that act as a compass. Mammals rely on their memory. Some elephant trails have been used for hundreds of years. That's a pretty interesting passage. Did you know all of that? Okay, I was really caught up with the new information I was getting. So I think we need to read this passage again. How do migrating animals find their destination? Fish use their sense of smell to recognize their migration paths and are guided by changing water temperatures. Birds use the positions of the sun to orient themselves. Some birds have magnetic particles in their air mechanisms that act as a compass. Mammals rely on their memory. Some elephants' trails have been used for hundreds of years. What is the biggest idea jumping out at you right now? Is the biggest idea about the fish and how the fish migrate? Does all the other lines support that one idea? No, because we have other animals there. What about the line that talks about the birds? Now it's highlighted a little bad, but we're reading from where it says some birds. Some birds have magnetic particles in their air mechanisms that act as a compass. Does all the other lines there support that one line? The line about the fish, the line about the elephants? No. What about this line that starts with the elephant, some elephants? Some elephant trails have been used for hundreds of years. What about that one? No. So as you would realize, none of the sentences in this passage give us the main idea for us to just circle it and write it out. And if you remember earlier, we spoke about the implied main idea, the one that we have to create, that we have to write. So in other words, you are the author of this main idea. You have to put all of this information into your brain and create what the passage is saying in your own words. So read it through. What are the big ideas jumping out? If you just had to pull out words, what's the first word that comes out? Is it mammals? Does the passage speak about mammals? If you said yes, then think for a minute about the science lesson, what you would have learned in science. Is a fish a mammal? Is a bird a mammal? So can we use the word mammal in writing our main idea? No. I'm glad you're with me with that one. So what is the general name that we could group all of these species under? Is it plants? Well, definitely not. It's animals. But what are all of these animals doing? They have something in common throughout the entire passage. What is it? That's correct. All of the animals are migrating. But do they migrate the same way? Because we saw where the fish use the sense of smell. The birds, they have magnetic particles in their air. The mammals use memory, and the elephants have trails that have been around for hundreds of years. So are their migration patterns the same? No. So then you come up with a sentence and make sure that your sentence is one that is similar to the one that will come up on your screen. I hope you're thinking. I'm giving you just 5 more seconds. Make sure and get a good sentence. We're at standard 5 level here. We're writing well. We are speaking well. So if you had something similar to this, then definitely you're correct. Animals migrate through a variety of methods. There we spoke about everything. There are different species, they're all animals. What are they doing? They are migrating. How are they migrating? Through a variety of methods. If you have animals migrate in different ways, that is good also. So now, if you were correct, give yourself a pat on the back. If you were wrong, don't get sad. Step back, take a breath, see where you went wrong, and what is the difference between your answer and the correct answer. Make a connection, and let's learn something. So we move further. Here are some helpful tips that we should remember in finding the main idea. The first thing you do is you read. Read well, and don't just read to call the words. Read that the words transition from your mouth or your mind to your ears and into your mind for understanding. Think it through. As you read, ask yourself questions. What does this mean? Put yourself into the paragraph sometimes. Close your eyes, visualize it, think about it. Make sure that when you're thinking, that your thinking leads to you understanding. It could be through you visualizing whatever is in that paragraph. It could be through you restating it in your own words. So you see a word like variety, and you realize variety means many or different. You restate it, and you put that in your mind, so as you read through, the understanding is there. Then definitely, after you get that first understanding, question yourself. Ask questions. Am I right? Does this work? Could there be another right answer? Fourthly, check the details. Make sure that every other line that's a detail, a supporting detail in the paragraph, supports your main idea. And then lastly, when it's implied main ideas, create well. I know you have the ability to write excellently. So when you write your implied main idea, let's write well. Just to recap before we move forward, what is the main idea? It's the most important point of a text. Good readers determine the main idea by looking for details in the text. And we just did that 4 times, and you did so well. Supporting details. These details describe or explain the main idea of the text. These details are important to the text and support the main idea. Let's look at the table again. You see the difference? We have the top of the table, and the top of the table supports the books which is you, which is your intellect. But without the feet of the table, we can have no top. So we must have the supporting details. So good. Now that we've practiced, and we've practiced, and we've practiced, it's test time. So we're going to look at a poem, and I know you guys like poems. From the time you hear poems, you think about mood, you think about tone, you think about rhyming. So we have a poem here, and we're going to read this poem and think through it, and then answer some questions using what we would have learned on main idea, as well as some of our other knowledge. So I'm going to read, you read along with me too, the second time. This first time I read, you're going to listen to how I structure the words and my tone. The second time, you attempt to read with me so that you get the flow of how the poem should be read. Down from the hills, they come with swinging hips and steady stride to feed the hungry tongue, to place within the growing seed, and in the rain and sunshine, tended the young green plants. They bred and dug and reaped, and now, as heaven has blessed their toil, they come, bearing the fruits, these ladies of the soil, who bring full baskets down to feed the hungry tongue. And this is by Daisy Meyer. So look at it. We're going to practice reading also, and then we're going to get into the questions. Because when you read the poem well, it leads to better understanding for you. So let's read together now. You're going to try to mimic exactly how I read as you read with me. Down from the hills they come, with swinging hips and steady stride, to feed the hungry tongue, to place within the growing seed, and in the rain and sunshine, tended the young green plants. They bred and dug and reaped. And now, as heaven has blessed their toil, they come, bearing the fruits, these ladies of the soil, who bring full baskets down to feed the hungry tongue. We just spoke about what we should do when reading and when thinking about main idea. So think, as you read through it the third time by yourself, you must ask yourself questions. Put yourself into the setting. What are they doing? Down from the hills they come. Right away, your mind should align yourself to on top of a hill. And there, are you going up the hill? No. You're walking down that hill, but you're not alone. Because the first word in the poem, or the word in the poem, was down from the hills they come, with swinging hips and steady stride. If they have a steady stride, what does that say about them? Are they walking down that hill slouched? Are they sad? Or are they walking down that hill and their hips are swinging and their stride is steady, so it says something about pride? It should. To feed the hungry tongue. So we think there now, if I am imagining this, about where a hill is in comparison to a tongue. So they're leaving their place and they're coming down this hill with pride to go to the tongue. To place within the growing seed and in the rain and sunshine. I helped you so far. Now you tell me, what does that line mean? Think about it. We had a hill. We had people coming down that hill with pride, going to the tongue. What were they doing on the hill? Why are they going to the tongue? What does that line mean? And here's where you think of different things. Maybe it could be a family, but what in the poem justifies that? Maybe it could be some village going to a carnival, but what in the poem justifies that? What key words do we have there? We have the words growing seed, rain, and then sunshine. So what do you think was the activity that happened on the hill? Yes, it was planting. So they planted on the hill. But is the poem about planting? No, it's not. What is it about then? Let's go further. They bred and dug and reaped. But we know what reaped means because we just spoke about planting. But let's think again and position ourselves in the poem. They bred and they dug. Imagine it. That is the work that was being done in the field. And now, as heaven has blessed their toil, how has heaven blessed their toil? Remember, poems deal with imagery. What act did heaven do that blessed their toil? Was it sun? I don't think so. Yes, it was rain. Heaven blessed their toil. It was rain. They come bearing the fruits, these ladies of the soil. Let's pause. What was the gender of these people who planted? Was it men? No, it could never be. It's right there in the poem. It was ladies. So these were women who were planting. And if it is we look carefully, we know exactly what they were planting already. They were planting fruits, who bring full baskets down to feed the hungry tongue. So in essence, these are women who planted on a hill and were going where? Because do you think that the poem means that they went through the streets of the town and they just gave these fruits out to everybody? I understand That is happening a lot now, but the poem may not have been written in that time. But where do you think they were going? Yes, they were going to the market. They were going to the market to sell their produce. And how did they go to that market? What word in that poem talks about how they felt? Because it said that, they walked down that hill with what? What kind of hips? What kind of stride? Good. And when you think like this now, and you analyze a poem like that, it's very easy. When the question is posed, what is the mood? What is the tone? Right away, you can get that. And this is where thinking has to come in. Being able to answer the questions is one thing. But when you learn to think, you carry that for life. And that's what we want to get here. But we'll get to the questions now because I know you're excited for the question. And obviously, as you guessed, the first question, what is the main idea of the poem? What specific line could you create that will encapsulate everything about this poem? And it's easy because we just guessed it. So you think now, what do we have to do? Do we use generally the word farmers? I don't think so. Why? What was said in the poem? That's correct. They said ladies. So the lady farmers who planted on the hill went to sell their produce in the market. That's a good solid standard for a standard 5 sentence. And if you got that or something close to it, then that's good. Now let me show you another way that many of these poems can ask for the main idea. And it's a very simple way. And it's give a suitable title for the poem. To give a suitable title for the poem, you must understand what is the main point or the main idea or the big idea throughout the poem. So I'm giving you a challenge. 2 words, not 3, just 2 words for this poem. What could that be? A title that would make Daisy Maya very happy to have a poem called that. If you were challenged with that task of writing a title for this poem, what 2 words would you choose? I'm sure you had some good ideas. So mine may not be as good as yours, but I'll still tell you. I think a good title may have been Market Ladies, because they were going to the market. And normally when we think about farmers, you think about men, but this poem was specifically about women, so Market Ladies. Or anything like that, 2 to 3 words would definitely be a good title for a poem. Now I have this last question for us to look at, and I chose it specifically because many times we get trouble understanding mood and tone. But you see those 2 words? If you really understand the depth of what they mean in the poem, it helps you understand that. What do the words steady stride mean? And you must ask yourself, why did the poet, make emphasis in talking about the way these ladies walked? And he spoke about a steady stride. What does that say to you? How did they feel with that steady stride coming down from a hill? When you walk down a hill, it's a tiring task. But he still said that their hips swung and their stride was steady. So how did these ladies feel? Yes, they felt proud because they would have worked and toiled hard. And now they are carrying the produce of their work to the market to reap the benefits. And it's as simple as that. If you understood that and you look at everything else in the poem and a question is posed to you, what is the mood of the poem? The mood of the poem is pride. Even though they are talking about hard work, are they putting the hard work in hot sun? And are they talking about sweat or grueling behind this work or tiredness? No. They're talking about the pride behind doing a good job. So the mood is pride. Now what is the tone? And I want you to think about that. And I want you to think about what is the difference between mood and tone. So think, for instance, if you walk into a room where a team has just lost a match. As you enter the room, the mood, the environment would be disappointment. It may be sadness. That's the mood. That's what the atmosphere says. But the tone now is different. If you walk into the room and you are the poet, and you deliver a grand speech of encouragement, and you tell them to get up, let's get going again. We're going to do the next match. We're going to win. You have it inside you. Get up and let's go. Then the tone is completely different from the mood. The tone now is encouragement. And understand this differentiation well. Mood deals with the environment. And tone is that level in which the poet speaks. So I gave you the mood. I told you the mood of this poem is pride. You might have something synonymous also, another word, and that works as well. What is the tone? How does the poet Daisy write this? What tone does she use? Down from the hills they come, with swinging hips and steady stride, to feed the hungry tongue, to place within the growing seeds and in the rain and sunshine, tended the young green plants they bred and dug and reaped. And now, as heaven has blessed their toil, they come, bearing the fruits, these ladies of the soil, who bring full baskets down to feed the hungry tongue. There's a build in the poem. The rhyme is like if you're going up a step, you're waiting for something, you can't wait for it to get there. So my word, and if you have a synonymous word, that's fine. My word for tone is anticipation. They're anticipating what will happen. Their first anticipation is for their produce to come. And it came when the heaven blessed their toil. And the second anticipation is to get to market and feed the hungry tongue. So we learned a little extra. Yes, we learned about main idea, but nothing is wrong with going a little further. So we put in a little poem to get your brain even moving further. But the rest is on you now. Go, if it is you have access to the device, go get some more information, visit the ministry site, and let's get working on main ideas as well as poetry. Thanks for spending this time with me. Take care.